morning and welcome to Tuesdays with the Pilgrim. Today we continue our journey with Mercy and Christiana, James and his brothers, with Chapter 23, Part 5, The Lions and the Giant Grim. So they went on until they came to within sight of the lions. Greatheart was a strong man, so he was not afraid of the lions. But when they had come up to the place where the lions were, the boys, who earlier had run on ahead, now cringed behind him in fear. At this their guide smiled and said, "How is it, my boys, that you who love to go ahead when no danger is approaching, and love to go behind as soon as the lions appear?" As they approached the lions, Greatheart drew his sword for the purpose of making a safe way for the pilgrims to pass. Suddenly, someone appeared who had seemingly taken it upon himself to jump to the aid of the lions. "What is your reason for coming here?" he asked Greatheart. The name of the man was Grim, sometimes called Bloody Man, because he had killed pilgrims. He belonged to a race of giants. Then Greatheart answered, "These women and children are going on a pilgrimage, and this is the way they must go, and so they shall, in spite of you and these lions." "This is not their way," challenged Grim. "They shall not pass here. I have come out to withstand them and to prevent them from passing. To this end I will team up with the lions." Now, to tell the truth, because of the fierceness of the lions, and because of the harsh and threatening behavior of this one who backed them, this way had recently remained largely untraveled. In fact, it was almost completely covered over with weeds. Christiana reminded her companions that in the days of Shamgar and of Jael, the main roads were deserted. Travelers used the narrow, crooked side paths, until Deborah became the mother to Israel. Then Christiana spoke up, saying, "Even though the highways may have remained untraveled until now, and even though the travelers may in times past have been forced to walk through the side roads, this will no longer be the case, since I, too, am risen as a mother in Israel." Then Grim swore by the lions that they would not pass. He told them to turn aside, since they would not be allowed to get by. But Greatheart made his first approach at Grim and wielded his sword at him so powerfully that the giant was forced to retreat. "Will you slay me on my own ground?" shouted Grim. "This is the king's highway that we are in, and it is in his way that you have placed your lions. But these women and young pilgrims, weak though they may be, will yet keep to their way in spite of your lions." And with that, Greatheart gave the giant another powerful blow that smashed the giant to his knees. This blow also broke his helmet, and with the following one he lost an arm. The giant roared so hideously that his voice frightened the women, yet they were so glad to see him sprawling helplessly on the ground. The lions were chained, so therefore could do nothing for themselves. After Grim was dead, Mr. Greatheart said to the pilgrims, "Come along now and follow me. The lions will do you no harm." So they went on, even though the women trembled as they passed them, and the boys also looked as if they might die. But they all got by without any further incident. Chapter 24, Part 1. The Gatekeeper's Lodge. By this time they were within sight of the Gatekeeper's Lodge, and they hastily approached it, because travel was dangerous in that area at night. When they arrived at the gate, Greatheart knocked, and the gatekeeper answered. "Who is there?" As soon as Greatheart said, "It is I," the gatekeeper came down to let them in. He knew his voice because Greatheart had often come that way to conduct pilgrims on their journey. The gate was opened by the gatekeeper, and seeing only Greatheart, for his charges were behind him, he said, "How are you doing, Mr. Greatheart? What brings you here so late at night?" "I have brought some pilgrims here to lodge, as the Lord has commanded me. We would have arrived earlier if we had not been opposed by that giant who stood in support of the lions, but after a difficult and trying battle with him, I have killed him and have brought the pilgrims here safely." Chapter 24, Part 2. Greatheart Must Leave. "Won't you come in and stay until morning?" asked the gatekeeper. "No, I will return to my lord tonight." "Oh, sir," said Christiana, "how can we say goodbye to you and allow you to leave us alone in our pilgrimage? You have been so faithful and loving, and have fought so resolutely and courageously for us, and have given us such unqualified support, and such sincere and thorough counsel, that I will never forget what you have done for us." "Oh, that we might have your company to our journey's end," cried Mercy. "How can we who are so feeble hold out in a way that is so full of troubles without the help of a friend and defender?" Then James, the youngest of the boys, said, "Please, sir, decide to go with us and help us. We are so weak, and the way is so dangerous." "I do as my Lord commands me," said Greatheart. "If he will appoint me to be your guide all the way through, I will willingly do so. But in this you failed at the beginning, when he told me to come this far with you. Then you should have begged him to allow me to go the rest of the way with you. He would have granted your request. However, for now I must withdraw. So, dear Christiana, Mercy, and my brave boys, goodbye." Chapter 24, Part 3. Welcomed into the House. After Greatheart had departed, Mr. Watchful, the gatekeeper, asked Christiana about her country and her people. She answered, "I came from the city of destruction. I am a widow. My husband is dead. His name was Christian the Pilgrim." "Oh," exclaimed the gatekeeper, "was he your husband?" "Yes, and these are my sons, and this is Mercy, one of our neighbors." Then the gatekeeper rang his bell, as was his custom at such times, and a young woman came, whose name was Humble Mind. The gatekeeper said to her, "Go tell those within that Christiana, the wife of Christian, and her children and a friend are here on a pilgrimage." So she went in and told them, and oh, what a sound of gladness there was within the house when Humble Mind announced the good news. They all came running to the gatekeeper, for the little band was still standing by the door. Then some of those more seriously minded among them said, "Come in, blessed woman, come in, along with all who are with you." So they all went in and were shown to a very large room, where they were asked to sit down. When they were seated, the members of the household were called to see and welcome the guests. When they came in and realized who their guests were, they greeted each one with kisses and said, "Welcome, objects of his mercy, whom he prepared in advance for glory. We, your friends, welcome you." Chapter 24, Part 4. They go to bed. Because it was getting late, the pilgrims were weary from their travels, and faint from seeing the fight and the terrible lions. They desired to go to bed as soon as possible. The family told them that they should first be revived by eating some meat. They had already prepared a lamb and the customary fixings. After they had eaten and a little time of prayer, they closed with the reading of a psalm. "Please," said Christiana, "if we may be so bold as to choose, let us stay in the same room that my husband stayed in when he stopped here." So they were taken to that room, and they prepared for bed. Once they were in bed, Christiana and Mercy talked for a while. "At one time," said Christiana, "I hardly gave a thought to the possibility of my ever following my husband on a pilgrimage." "And," added Mercy, "you most likely never thought you would be lying in the same bed within the same room." "Yes, and even less did I think that I might ever have the hope of seeing his face again, or of worshipping his Lord the King together with him. Yet now I believe I will." "Listen," said Mercy. "Can you hear sounds?" "Yes, I believe it is the sound of joyful music, because we are here." "Wonderful," cried Mercy. "Music in the house, music in the heart, and music in heaven, all for the joy that we are here." And we'll stop there for this week. Next week we'll pick up with Chapter 24, Part 5, Mercy's Dream. Until then, take care, stay safe, and God bless.